Do you feel like you are just surrounded with your children's bickering, your children just getting at one another, perhaps provoking one another? If so, if you are just completely done with the strife that's going on in your home, I have something special in today's training that I want to equip you with to help you solve sibling strife once and for all. So if you're excited, I'm excited. So let's go ahead and get into today's uh, episode. I'm Dolly Freeman. I'm the host of Influencing Your Kids show. And today I'm going to be giving you a simple framework and a one sentence for when your kids fight. So I'm pretty sure I'm not the only parent that has children that sometimes fight and have in times of ignoring one another and maybe even provoking one another with strife. The key is recognizing that even though this is common, it's really not normal. This is not the way we should be raising our children and accepting it as normal things. In fact, strife is caused, scripture tells us, by the influences of this world. This is the enemy's plan to divide families through strife. So if you're living through strife with your siblings in your home, it's time to go ahead and figure out how to get past this. Now, I'm going to give you this four uh, step framework today. And in this episode, I'm going to help you to understand the reason strife is common in siblings and how to stop your kids from fighting with a four-step framework, as well as the one sentence that can stop sibling strife in its track. Okay, so let's first get started in recognizing the true reason why strife is happening inside your family. Number one, it is from the influence, but also scripture tells us that where there is strife, where there is pride, there is strife. So we have to recognize that pride is existing somewhere in a relationship where um, it is causing that strife to happen, and you have to get on top of that. How I want to help you get on top of that is giving you this four-step framework. It's so simple. This is the peace framework where you're going to be able to walk through this and bring your children to a place of peace. So let's get started. You're going to want to grab your pen and paper for this, and you're going to want to make sure you take some notes. I'm going to try to go pretty quick. This is something that I probably should be teaching inside a digital course because, yes, it's that big, but I wanted to equip you and help you to be able to overcome the pride that is causing the strife, as well as giving you a step by step of how to bring peace into your home. So, step number one, establish clear expectations and boundaries for sibling relationships. We as parents tend to go by the seat of our pants because we have so many other life demands that are keeping us going day to day. And if we can take a step back, breathe a bit, and really begin to train our children in the way that they should go, how they should be having the relationships with one another, you will see that the fruit of your labor is worth it because you will get that pleasant result pretty quickly. So let me walk you through of what that looks like for step number one to establish clear expectation and boundaries for sibling relationship. Number one, you're going to define and communicate clear expectations for the behavior between siblings. Now, this is going to need time to talk it through. This is not something you just quickly blurt out while a strife is going on. You're going to want to do this when there's a happy moment, when you're being intentional in how you're parenting your children and how you're setting up the parameters within your home for how behavior is expected. And in that, you're going to do the second part, which is discuss what is acceptable and unacceptable. You're going to have these terms of communication, actions, and conflict resolutions. We need to know when someone's acting a certain way, what's acceptable of a reaction. If we don't have these clear discussions with our children, we're not equipping them for overcoming what is constantly in homes and drowning us with strife. And then once you have that determined, where you're setting what is acceptable and unacceptable, you're going to have these boundaries put in place. These boundaries is what's going to ensure that the conflicts are resolved respectively and without resorting to physical or harmful actions. This is where we're saying when these things happen, this is what it's going to look like. And you're going to set the boundaries in place of keeping everyone as close as harmony as possible. Our goal is peace. The opposite of strife is peace. So that's what we're always driving for. Okay, step number 2. You're going to teach conflict resolution skills. This is something that we are not normally taught. And this is why a sibling strife can become parenting strife, where parents and children are fighting with one another. And then that's going to go on into fights in the workplace, fights with neighbors, fights with people in your entire community. If we cannot learn these skills of how to restore our relationships, how to get through conflict, then you're going to always have a problem, regardless of what relationships you're talking at. So it's really good to use your siblings, opportunities within your home, in your parenting to teach these skills. So what that looks like is, number one, you're going to be teaching them actively listening. Actively listening, you're going to encourage your children to stop talking and start listening. And when we can start listening to one another, we'll be able to understand what it is that we need to do to help eliminate not just the pride, but promote the peace. And this also will help us to understand one another's feelings, as well as the viewpoints or perspective that person is going through in that moment. Number 2, it's going to help you have empathy building. So empathy building is that you're going to teach your children to put themselves in someone else's shoes. How would you feel if this was happening to you? This is a perfect opportunity to use the scripture of do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And then you're going to use an I statement. I statements are something that we use a lot in our culture, but we use them the wrong way. So what I want you to do is start teaching your children to express their feelings using the I statement, such as like, I feel hurt when, and then let them say what's happening that makes them feel that way. Instead of trying to blame or accuse other people, give them an understanding of how their actions is causing an internal reaction that, without these parameters in place, can actually cause further damage through reaction. And I recently heard, when we were going to church with our daughter and son-in-law a few weeks back, their pastor said something that just resonated with me so well. Feelings are good followers, but not good leaders. So we want to teach our children, just because we're feeling a certain way, it doesn't mean our feelings should determine our actions in that situation. It gives us an understanding of things that are welling up within us, and we have to learn how to control our feelings and how to regulate them in order to act Christ-like. So our feelings are not these compasses where our culture is really working on right now. Our feelings are not going to be the things in what directs us. Instead, our feelings are the things that are going to follow the type of action. So we might be feeling one way, but how should we be acting based on those feelings? Or if those feelings are wrong, how can we change those feelings to align with what's right? And then the last part of step 2 is to have a cooling down period. The worst thing you can do is just sit in the middle of strife. Walk away, get cool, close your mouth as much as possible, and just take this time of where you're learning how to regulate what you're feeling. You're giving yourself that time to breathe in order for you to come into the step of empathy, where you're thinking about how might someone else be feeling in this situation, what's their perspective, and giving you the opportunity to get to a place where you can actively listen. Because if we're not having this cooling off phase, most than likely you're going to have bickering back and forth. The conflict's going to get bigger and bigger, and before you know it, it's out of hand. So this is where most people are in their relationships, because they do not know the step 2 of how to have conflict resolution skills built into them. So do our culture a favor and teach these to your children, and learn them yourself through the process. All right, step number 3 for the peace framework is promote positive communication. This looks like this. It's a 3-part thing. So number 1, you're going to have positive praising with your children. So what this looks like when you see your children overcoming what normally they would do, but they're getting control over it and acting a bit different, where they're bringing more peace in a relationship. Maybe they walked away from a situation that started to escalate. Praise that. Let them know, I see that you were hurt and you walked away from it. I see that you normally would have hit your sister, but instead you chose to walk away. I see that you normally would. I had recently had someone tell me that their child spits on their other sibling. So I saw that you didn't spat on your brother. Those types of things. And when we can see what our children's tendencies are and their reactions to others, if we can see those begin to change, have that praise to encourage it even more. And then what will happen is that child will be more motivated to do the right thing the next time. And then have family meetings, sit down together, have the opportunity to have a safe place where people can actually say, I feel like this when this happens, and have a safe thing. And what really has helped in our resolution conflict within our family is being able to, and even in our marriage, so this works regardless of the relationship, is being able to say, it's true because it's my perspective, even though that perspective may have been influenced by feelings, but in the moment, this is how I'm feeling based on my perspective. And then the other person, if they had that empathy in place and realize they were acting or reacting based on this, then that empathy can begin to build, and peace can be promoted in that situation. So have the time to be able to speak it out in a safe way, not in a way where you're coming together to throw spitballs, so to speak, at one another, but instead you're coming for the purpose of promoting peace. And then the third step in this framework, the third thing to do in the third step of this framework is to collaborate problem solving. I want you to begin to teach your children how to work together as siblings to find solutions. I want you to begin to encourage brainstorm. Maybe I need to stop doing this one thing, or maybe I need to start doing this one thing. Maybe we could work on this together, better communication here, or perhaps we should take a break and come back and do these things when we both have had that cool down time. So when we can help collaborate problem solvings, everybody's voice is being heard in the situation, but also if the step number 2 has been done, you're going to be able to come together in a way that you know that peace is coming as a prospect, because you're all stepping into this empathy. You're putting yourself in someone else's shoes rather than just thinking about yourself. You're recognizing your feelings, but you're also recognizing the other person's feelings by having empathy for them. All right, step number 4 of the peace framework is to nurture sibling relationships. This is a huge thing, and I have a kit that can actually help you in this quality time. Our kids today spend less time together, and the time they do spend together is usually at one of each other's throats. So what I want you to think about is how to schedule quality sibling time together. Become intentional about this. If you are just putting your kids together and hoping that all things work together for good without being intentional about what that time looks like, you're going to be set up for error. So you want to be thinking about what could happen, what should happen, and how should it happen. If you can be thinking of all those 3 things for that quality time, you're going to be well spent. Now, one of the things you should be doing is the second part is shared activities. You're not just putting your kids together, but they're going to have activities. Now, this activity is not something mom should be a part of or dad should be a part of. This is time where they're having quality time one-on-one or one-on-many, depending on how many children you have. But the thing this should happen is that these activities are parent approved, meaning that it's okay for them to do them together. All the kids know how to do it, and you have to be considering the different dynamics going on. Some kids are born leaders, and they will determine what happens each and every time. So be creative in these shared activities and share who gets to decide what those activities are. And when you can do that and alternate who gets to choose, you'll have peace promoting there. And you will keep those natural born leaders who are deciding everything for everyone in the home, to give them a step back and let other people develop that opportunity to share what they would like to do. And then lastly, for step number 4, is celebrate differences. When you're celebrating differences, you can say, we are all uniquely and wonderfully made. This one child loves to build. This one child loves to be creative. This one child loves to just sit and watch a movie. And when we can celebrate each other's uniqueness and learn how to show up in those uniqueness and support one another in those uniqueness, that is where true peace can actually be promoted. When we're only thinking about ourselves and we're not willing to grow in areas that relationships that we should be fostering looks like, then all of a sudden we're going to be coming up against things that we should not be having, all because we're being selfish. It's within this collaborating differences of where we can actually get to this place of preferring one another, being able to help each other in that process. So if you like to talk a little bit about this, get into the comment, share with me a question, and I will love the opportunity to help you out with that. But before I do that, I want to share with you one sentence that you can be using with your children throughout this whole thing that will help you to stop the strife in its tracks. Would that help you in knowing how to not only implement this framework, but to help your children get on top of that? I think so. So when you're starting to see that strife boiling up inside your family, I want you to start using this one sentence to really help bend what it is that your children's doing. That one sentence is, who do you think is happy because you're fighting? Who do you think is happy because you're fighting? If we stop and realize that pride is from the father of lies, is from the enemy who is trying to divide our families, who is trying to separate us in our relationships. If we recognize that and we teach our children that the pride that's going on, that's causing the strife, is being influenced by the enemy himself, we can stop and realize, wait a second, this strife is happening because of the influence going on. And it's the pride that's here. And the only one that's happy about this is the enemy. So I want you to start using this one sentence to bend your children away from pride and move them towards peace. Who do you think it is that's happy because you're fighting? Simple, but effective. Okay, so as I'm going to be getting into the comments and answering your questions on this topic, I want to empower you. So let me introduce you really quick to 3 posters that I've created that will help you empower your children to stop fighting, to stop ignoring one another, and to stop provoking one another to strife. You can go ahead and get that at solvesiblingstrife.com, 3 posters. I already have people downloading them and putting them up in their home. I already have them showing these to their children and giving them equipment of how to overcome these 3 main struggles within sibling relationships. And then you can use the peace framework that I gave you in today's episode to walk them through that. Now, if you feel like you need more, once you get these 3 posters, you'll have the opportunity to get the Stop Sibling Strife kit. This kit is full of so many things that will help you not only use the peace framework that I just taught you today, but will give you how to become this influential referee for your children. It'll show you how to be able to get your kids to be best friends. It'll give you all the parent approved activities that they can do together, that they can choose on different kind of genres based on what their interests are, so that you can work on the difference, embracing the difference in each other. You can also use it to learn scripture verses about friends. You can use it to learn how to teach your children how to prefer one another, how to encourage one another. And also, there is some natural consequences for strife that will help you influence your children to go the right way and to choose peace over strife. Okay, so I'm not seeing any comments in today's episode about strife and how to use the peace framework. I'll be here for another few seconds. If you want to post that, I'll go ahead and answer. But here's the key thing that I want you to be thinking about as you're processing peace and how pride takes away that peace. When we're using this one sentence, who do you think is happy that you're fighting? When we begin to use that in our parenting, our children are going to begin to become more discerning of their own actions. They'll start to have not only empathy for others, but they will become aware of the struggle that's within inside them, of how that they can use their feelings to understand, is this feeling something that is dwelling inside of me and stirring up the strife, or is this feeling something that's going to help me go the right way and grow to fruitful purpose? Your job is not just to help your children get along, but to help your children know how to get along and to give them that discernment in their own reactions to help others in their family. Well, I am looking forward to next week on the Influence Your Kids show. You don't want to miss it. We're going to go a little deeper on this subject of siblings. And until then, I'll see you there. And bye for now.